Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics. I have a really fun project that goes together in no time and it's absolutely practical. Look at this adorable placemat. It's reversible. I could not resist this new collection from BERNINA called Joy, and it just makes me smile. It's got snowmen and there's these amazing words and plenty of other prints in this collection. It's one of my favorites this holiday season, and I wanted to be able to make some really simple placemats that just dress up the table in no time and just make it fun. So this awesome little placemat uses these Oval Placemat Craft Pack. It's a set of 4 from Bosal. You may be familiar with Bosal. They make a lot of amazing products that we enjoy using, especially with DIY projects and coupling that up with fabric. And it just makes some really cute home decor. So I'm going to show you how fast and easy these are. You can make these in just a matter of a couple hours, and 2 different fabrics, one on the front, one on the back. Make them reversible. Of course, you don't have to use different fabrics on the front and the back. You could use the same, but I like being able to have 2 different looks. You could even have 2 of the placemats on the table have that and 2 that, or all the same as you prefer. Okay, what is it about this? How does this work? You're going to be amazed at how fast and easy this is. By the way, if you're just stumbled onto this YouTube channel, welcome. It's Shabby Fabrics. We're a fabric DIY company. We have all kinds of great products on our website, including beautiful fabric, of course. Or maybe you want to just use some of what's in your stash, and that's fun too. Those fabrics you've been waiting to do something special with, maybe this is your chance. So inside your Bosal Oval Placemat Craft Pack, you'll see your kind of teal colored and some basic instructions. That's what I'll be going over with you today. So you don't even have to read those. I'll take care of it for you, and you can just be making these in no time at all. And obviously they make a great gift too. Okay, for each placemat, we're going to cut 2 pieces of fabric. You know that I chose the snowman for the front and the words on the back. In this case, floral prints, this says, would give great color and movement. I agree with them. Anything that really is a showcase fabric might be perfect. You can even fussy cut it. So it's just exactly where you want it to be. We're going to place one of the Bosal placemat forms onto the wrong side of the fabric. So I'll just grab one of my fabrics. If you want to pre-wash them, you can, certainly not required. Definitely press that out ahead of time. So I'll give that just a quick press. And we'll be tracing onto the wrong side of the fabric, and you only need to trace on one of your fabrics. So we'll just place that down. Now this is the form. One of the things I love about this is it has an adhesive on both sides. Just know you don't want to iron that unless there's fabric attached to it. It is very adhesive. So we'll just place that down there, and we'll use our friction pen to go ahead and trace around. Just like that. So I have my visual sewing line, and then you will layer that with another fabric, right sides together. Now I've done that ahead of time. Let me bring that out for you. So this one similarly I've just traced around it. They are right sides together, and I've just put some pins. Now we're going to go straight to the sewing machine. We're going to, of course, need to leave a side open for turning. Let me give you some pointers on this. You don't want to leave curves open for turning. They're complicated. They're more difficult to leave a curve and try to get it really nice and smooth. I'm going to try to make my gap about 6 inches. Here's what I did the first time I made these. I made the opening too small. Why? Because I wanted it to be completely on the straightaway. Well, you can see here on this, the straightaway is only about here, and it starts to curve. Well, let it go ahead. You might have to be maybe out here, but you do need 6 inches. Why? This form has to be able to go through that opening. So I wanted to tell you what not to do. It was not a big deal when I couldn't get the form in there. I just kind of seam ripped a little bit, and then I had to go back and reinforce. So make sure you leave a good 6-inch opening. They mention that in the instructions. Yep, it says right here, layer the 2 pieces of fabric with right sides together and sew on the drawn line all the way around, leaving an opening about 6 inches wide. Be sure that where you start, you reinforce really well, and the same where you end, because there's going to be a lot of tension as the form is going in. Now you'll want to be able to sew exactly on the line or a breadth to the outside. Don't be on the inside or the form won't fit inside. So let's go straight to our sewing machine. We're going to have a normal stitch length. I'm sewing with a 50 weight cotton. This is part of our confetti neutral thread set. White, gray, and black is really all you ever need for piecing. Now, as you go back later on and stitch on the top to close it, that stitching you will see. So you might want to choose a coordinating thread. Okay, so now we're at our sewing machine, and I'm just going to look at what I have, evaluating where am I going to leave the opening. Well, we've talked about that, and I'm going to leave it actually down here. And I'm going to pick a side where, I trimmed this down a little bit, and I could have left a little bit more. I'm going to leave a very healthy, more than a 1/4 inch gap from the line here to here, and you'll see why shortly. But let's get started. We'll reinforce where we start. I'm going to start about here and end about there. A little bit, it's just starting to arc up, not too bad, but let's start there. Okay, let's check everything out before we trim our 1/4 inch seam allowance. And there's something that I want to show you that is definitely something I learned along the way as I was making these placemats and more. Rather than trimming absolutely everywhere a 1/4 inch seam allowance, the side that has the opening, leave bigger. It could even be as much as a 1/2 inch out here. Go ahead and leave that. You're going to see why shortly. So where my stitching is right about here. Actually, I might start trimming right there. That's about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'll just try to echo that. And then as I get near the opening that I've established, you'll see what I'm going to do there. And you'll see why it's kind of important to do that. Because when you don't, it can make your life a little bit challenging to close this seam. So this is my point about right there. I'm going to make a very sharp pivot away, just like that. I want that spot. Now it starts again right here. So I'm going to come in and again track a 1/4 inch away. When I first did it, as I mentioned, it just made it really difficult to close. And with this small little extra step, it's just so fast, so easy, and effortless. Oh, I think I need a replacement blade. I need to take my own advice here, guys. You know what? I'm sometimes discovering when I get ready to sew a project, I forget to change my blade. I forget to change my needle. And when you do that, it just makes the process so much more enjoyable, and you're not recutting, right? Saves you time and effort. Okay, so you've got this weird little notch here. You'll see why that's going to be your friend here shortly. Let's turn it through. We want to push the seam all the way absolutely to the edge. I can get, of course, my hand in there, no problem. But if you absolutely need to get that seam pressed all the way through, and we do, we know that form is going to fit into here like a glove. I'm going to use my point turner. It's got the nice arc point, and it kind of flares in the end, and it has this point. We don't really need this one for that one. Different project, but the rounded one, absolutely, to push everything completely out. All the way. Now the shape itself will naturally want to push that out. This is just a little bit of a help before we put the form in. Snowmen. We make plenty of snowmen up here in North Idaho. I remember probably one of my favorite memories as kids was building snowmen in Michigan. These forms, okay, you have 4 of these. Don't be afraid to manipulate them. Don't be afraid. So our instructions will tell us, roll up the form loosely, fold in thirds, and stuff inside the casing. I struggled with this initially. Here's what I figured out works pretty well, because I was afraid I was going to break it. This is kind of what works. You kind of almost make a little bit of a tube. See that opening? See why we needed some space? Because it just takes that space to get it in there. So we'll go ahead and shove that all the way inside. And then with your hand, you just begin to open up the shape inside and smooth it out. And you just start to fit it in there. It's like trying to put on a glove. So you can see why you didn't dare sew on the inside of those lines. It's on the line or just a breath to the outside. You don't want to go too far on the outside, or then it's kind of balloony inside. You don't want that either. Okay, so now we have our shape mostly inside. Let's get our iron heating up, and you want to have steam. They talk about steam. Open up the form and try very hard to get the seam allowance toward the bottom. Okay. Well, we're trying very hard to do that right now. Once satisfied that the form is flat inside the casing, press with the iron from the bottom to within 1 inch of the open end. And what they're really talking about is this. Let me show you how this is going to work so you understand the goal. One of these 2 fabrics, and I'll choose the snowman, is going to form over that like this, and you will press that in place, and it will stay because this is a fusible. And then this will be turned under 1/4 to meet it. Do you see that? Hopefully from the overhead camera. See the goal? That's our goal. So basically, we know that's kind of the very end. So starting here and kind of working our way down, we will steam. I think they talk about how many seconds to hold on here. Iron set at cotton with steam, count to 10 and then shift. What you can do at this point before you do that, let me show you this. Let's say you steam it. You get all excited. I'm going to steam away. And then obviously I'm not holding it on its spot for 10 seconds. But I just want you to see what happens here when you steam this. This now is truly glued. Listen as I lift it up. It's truly glued on there. So now if you make a mistake, something isn't quite right, you can undo it and keep re-gluing it. Don't worry. But the idea is you can steam this, and I'm kind of working the fabric toward my opening so I have something to wrap around my form. Now leave the opening where you can still wrap that form around. Notice I kind of stayed away from that. I could wrap either end. I'll go ahead and wrap the blue. So I want you to see what I'm going to do. See that extra gap, that extra I left? This is why. This is what's going to now fold over my form and secure this. Because if I just tuck this under a 1/4 and tuck this under, that ridge of that placemat is going to be showing. We don't want that. We want that covered up with one of your two fabrics. It doesn't matter which one. There's no advantage to one over the other. I'll just choose the blue. And I'm just going to start working my way, pressing. Till it's nice and secure. Now this fabric, I'm just going to tuck under. Now there's no glue here, right? Because this blue is covering up where my glue would have been. So this will truly just be pressed in place for now until we iron that down. Excuse me, sew that down. We're going to iron it down in place. And I'm just trying to echo that shape so that visual line is not interrupted. You don't see where I close this. This just takes finesse. It takes time. There's no magic trick to it. If you've watched any of my videos, there's some things in quilting that are very predictable. And there's things in crafting where you just do what it takes. And sometimes it's just kind of finessing that. So now I think from what you're seeing, is you can't really tell that side from that side. It looks visually the same. This is where I'll use my Wonder Clips. They work really well, better than pins. Because this is, now I don't even know what side, there it is. We did it so well, we couldn't even figure it out. You don't want to try to pin this. That would probably bend my patchwork pins. This is where the Wonder Clips come in beautifully. All right, let's take that to our sewing machine. And I'm just going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch all the way around the edge just to secure everything all together and close that opening. If you want to have a coordinating thread, this is the chance to do it. You could also do a really fun decorative stitch if you wanted to. You can go and do what you want to do here on this. Cute. I mean cute, right? Snowmen just make you happy. I think that's one of the most endearing things, even as an adult, when I see the kids in the neighborhood and around town building snowmen in the wintertime. Maybe it's a snow day. There's just something that is so sweet about snowmen because they're happy. And it brings back certainly those childhood memories. So isn't this cute? So simple. You saw how quickly, and you can imagine every time you do something again and again, you get a little bit faster, you find tips and techniques, and in no time you have these adorable little reversible placemats. So thank you for giving me your time. I'm excited. I'm going to be doing more things with these placemats. So thanks for watching with me today, hopefully crafting along with me today, and I'll see you on a future video.